were naturalized after they fulfilled the requirement to renounce their Indian citizenship, given that India does not allow dual citizenship. The reason that Ajay Gupta was not naturalized is that he did not renounce his Indian citizenship. Therefore, he remains not a citizen of South Africa. He only holds a permanent residence permit. Again, on the 27th February 2018, in adherence to a request from the Portfolio Committee, I presented to the committee the supporting documents showing investments and social responsibility of the Gupta family within South Africa. The report was accepted by the committee. However, the committee will still validate the documents submitted as evidence for authenticity. Yesterday, the minister attended his first meeting of the Portfolio Committee, wherein the department was going to present its third quarter report. The committee had an opportunity to ask the minister questions about the naturalization of the members of the Ajay Gupta family. It was after this meeting that the minister addressed a media briefing to respond to their media requests. During the briefing, the matter of Atul Gupta's naturalization was raised, which was never a subject for the investigations. So all the time we're in Parliament, we're dealing with the 5 members. He was naturalized before the tenure of Minister Maluska Gaba at Home Affairs. Therefore, Minister Gigaba never dealt with the granting of citizenship to Atul Gupta, who was naturalized on November 2002. Having satisfied the ordinary residence requirements for naturalization, he arrived in South Africa in 1994. In order to address the Gupta family in its entirety, the department looked at all the people with the Gupta surname who are on the system. We found out that there are 39 people who are not naturalized, 13 who are naturalized, and 10 who were born in South Africa, which gives us the total of 62. I will be taking you through that spreadsheet, which is Annexure C. But for now, it should be noted that Atul Gupta was naturalized in 2002 and Rajesh Gupta was naturalized in July 2006. Both of them appear in the IEC voters roll. Furthermore, it will be important to share with you that Atul Gupta has been having passports which were issued as follows. The first passport for him was issued for the period of 4th November 2002 to 3rd November 2012. The other one was 29 September 2004 to 28 September 2014. The other one, 5th June 2008 to 4th June 2018. The other one, 19 March 2013 to 18 March 2023. The one which was in the media yesterday was issued on 31 July 2015 to 30 July 2025. We trust that this statement clarifies the entire matter around citizenship and status of members of the Gupta family. We want to reiterate that Ajay Gupta who was the subject of the investigation, is not a South African citizen and equally is not appearing in the voters' roll of this country. I will just explain now on that annexure, which I was saying is giving the total population of the Gupta family. You will see now that the first column is just the number of how many we have. As I've said, there are 62. And then the next column is the names. Then in the third column, we give now that those who are not naturalized, but we give their ID numbers. Let me explain. Number, once you've got what we call a permanent residence permit, you are issued with a South African identity document, but it differs to the South African one because at that point you do not have a right to vote or a right to have a passport. So if you go through again out the list, you will see that on number 7, Ajay Gupta, born with the ID number of 660205 6061 184, is not naturalized. And then the next column, we listed the people now who are naturalized. But we started with the ID number when that person was a PRP holder, and then we give the ID number after that person was naturalized. If you go to the list, those people are 13. Then if you go to number 9, Atul Kumar had an ID number which was 68061451051189 before he was naturalized. Once now he was naturalized, then he got an ID 68061451058080. Then this is the list now of the people who are naturalized. And then the other person who is naturalized, I know that, what's that guy, Jaresh? Where is on it? This other guy. Okay, Rajesh Kumar, who is number 42. His first ID was 7208056345 and after naturalization is 7208056345 That the next column gives the date of naturalization. The first person who was naturalized in the Gupta family is number 18, who is Harish. Harish was naturalized in 1991. So it means, with the number of years, it means now he arrived in this country in the 80s, because you had to finish at that time. The law was talking about 8 years in order for you to be naturalized. That was the first one. And then, as we have said, Atul was in 2002 in November, as well as Chitali is 2002. And then number 40, he was naturalized in 2001 and passed on in 2014. And then the other one was the 2015, which now is the what which we're talking about. Number 46 is the Shivan, which we said was the wife. And then the 61 and 62 are the son. And then the mother is number 2. Then also, there are children now who were born in South Africa by the people who were already in the country. So we gave them, there are 10, those kids. Then we've given their ID numbers, there are 10. Then we also said, let's give the passport numbers, which now people who are naturalized. We gave the passport numbers which they had so that we can be able to be clear on this matter. Therefore, in summary, we are saying in the National Population Register of South Africa, we've got 62 people who are having a surname of Gupta. You will recall that yesterday I did mention the issue that there is a difference, using my example, to Mkhuseli Apleni family and the Apleni family. Because Mkhuseli Apleni family means myself, my wife, my kids. Then Apleni family can mean my uncle, can mean a sister of my aunt and all that. So here, now all the time here we've been dealing with the AJ family, but now we have to take everyone who is a Gupta family, so that now if there is any issue, that's what we are dealing with it. So that's what we wanted to share with the members of the media. Thanks very much.
Thank you. Thank you, DJ. Please note that the DG is accompanied by senior managers from our Civic Affairs branch. On the right-hand side of the DG is the acting DG, Deputy Director General for Civic Affairs, accompanied by the Chief Director, also in the same branch, Civic Affairs, Mr. Norman Ramashia, on the DG's left-hand side. We will now open for we know the DG in Kusela. We will now open for questions. Kindly share with us your name.
That light made me not to see.
That will be the first question.
I can't see.
Let's take two brief questions. See how many you've got first. Maybe the second.
Let's leave them.
For two questions. Right, let's shoot. We're ready to receive your.
All right, Sylvester Manye from SABC TV News. I just want to know, where is the minister himself to come and explain this matter? Because, of course, this confusion regarding Ajay Gupta came from the briefing that the minister and yourself, DG, held yesterday, and he released a statement to say that, you know, he made an error in the same breath while dealing with AJ by referring to Ajay. Hence, then, you know, there were private steps or individual steps to confirm with what you call this, the IEC. So where's the minister to explain this? And perhaps you can understand the sort of confusion and perhaps you know, the accusations that the minister lied, because if then this error was made with senior management, why did you not pick it up? Why did he not have this information that you're now providing to us when he was going to brief Parliament of all, you know, places regarding this? So how did this mix-up happen to begin with? Thank you.
Your question?
I have been covered by my colleague, thank you.
No, thanks very much. I think let's put it on record that when we're briefing the Parliament, as we said, there was no issue of Atul Gupta in the Parliament. It was not there, because in the Parliament we were dealing with the 5 members, as I've given in the history, that starting from the 27th of June, I was there. I briefed the Parliament on the 5 members. Even when I went back on the 27th of February, we were talking about the 5 members. When Minister, who was not going to Parliament to brief on the issue of a naturalization of the Guptas, he was going there for the 3rd quarter report of the department. However, the portfolio committee had an opportunity when they see the minister there, since he has come back, then they asked the question. Everything was revolving around the issue of the 5 members. So management briefed the minister, understood what we're talking about. So, as minister is saying in his own statement, not me, his own statement, to say, I think I can read the part where minister has explained now that he erroneously, where was this? Oh, he says, I've noted now the confusion has shifted to Atul Gupta and his citizenship, partly because in yesterday's media briefing, I endlessly referred to Atul in the same breath as Ajay. So management, well, I was there with the minister, and then that has happened. So, and when I came after the opening was already done in the briefing. So, as was saying, it was the issue as minister has explained. Why minister is not here? Minister is in Cape Town. They are running, I think it's in Parliament. You know, the Home Affairs today, we have to answer some oral questions. He is in Parliament. But for me, I was to come and explain to the people, as I've got the records of what it means about the Guptas.
Thank you, Tony. Maybe we should quickly go to Cape Town, or we'll come back to the questions. Cape Town, any questions from your end?
Hello, Jan Gerber from News 24. Lastly, in June's statement, the minister said, he was the Minister of Finance then, he said the documents that was doing the rounds was authenticated, which was real. Yesterday he said that those letters that the EFF distributed last year was fake. Can you perhaps clarify what is the position surrounding the documents, please? Thanks.
Peter, was that the only question you've got for now?
Yeah, David, thank you. That's the only question that you have for now. Thank you.
No, thanks very much. If we can look at the attachment A, annexure A, that's why we touched that letter. The letter which the department sent to the Gupta family is the one which is in annexure A. But the letter which was in circulation, where we pick it up that it was a fraudulent letter or manipulated, was with regard to the last paragraph. Because the last paragraph of our letter said, however, you and your family will qualify to reapply on 23rd, 2017, provided you do not exceed 90 days outside South Africa for every year in the 5 years preceding your new application and comply with the requirements as prescribed in the Citizenship Act, Act 17 of 2010 as amended. But the letter which was in circulation, instead of 2017, it was saying 2015. And the signature and everything was not the same. Where we are with the matter, we reported in the committee that we have taken both letters to the forensic writing experts to look at whether this letter and that letter, where there are discrepancies, in particular the signature, because the signature is there of G.G. Hlatshwayo. So now you must compare that signature and this one and check whether now the typing font and everything of the letter, is it the same? Once we get that report, we will come back and say, this is what we've picked it up, this is what we've got a proof of it, and then we'll act on that from there.
Thank you, DG. Your questions before our break. The private Poland will be the first. Second question, Mrs. will be the third question. In that order.
Thank you, DG. Olim Gambi, ENCA. Firstly, the members who were naturalized, the 4 family members, who naturalized them in 2015, DG? Who was the minister responsible for naturalizing those family members? The second question is around the number of 62 people in South Africa who share the surname Gupta. are you able to link all of these people and say they come from one family household, those 62? And that's about it for now. Thank you.
Thanks. Thank you. Your question?
My name is Moses Moyo from the Inner City Gazette. Only to one of my questions. DG, it's clear the minister has a relationship with this family. Have you personally ever met either Ajay or Atu yourself? Thank you.
Thanks. Yep, your question, we'll come back to the follow-up question thereafter. Your question?
Thank you. DG, mine is just clarity-seeking question. I'm Nomusa Pumula from ANN7. What I want to find out from this 62 list, is it only those that had sought naturalization, or it include even those that are in South Africa on work permits, or, as you have said earlier on, it's just the list of those that have a Gupta surname in the national database or national list for Home Affairs. I just want clarity there, DG. Thank you.
Thanks. Your follow-up.
Well, thank you, DJ. Before you take my questions, Oli again,
Yes.
I wanted to add 2 more questions. The other one relates to the visit, the alleged visit to ANN7 studios. Have you detained any Indian nationals from that particular station? The last question, DG, it would appear that you yourself may not be aware, but the minister has apparently given a sick note to Parliament, and he is not present there. Are you aware of this? Have you been made aware of this? And perhaps should he have been part of this media briefing?
Okay, thank you. The list of questions. DG, over to you.
Okay. Yes. No, thanks very much. As we, Minister Gigaba was in Home Affairs from May 2014 up to March 20, during that cabinet reshuffle was 2017, yes. So when the 5 members were dealt with, but let's explain now the process so that he was not here at all the time. When they applied, which is going to come to the last question about the work permit, but when I deal with that. When they started to apply for the naturalization was 2013. So during that time of 2013, the minister who was here was Minister Pando, but they submitted the application in the department in 2013. Then in 2014, when their process was finalized per the letter of Hlachwayo, and then they received the letter which was saying they did not meet the requirements. It was January 2015. So Minister Gigaba was already in the department. So the start was before his time, and then the proceeding of the applications was when he was here. Then the 62 family, as I said, Kolani, that Gupta family is what people, as I said, the first guy arrived here in 1991 is Harij. So what we're looking at is the family that is the surname. But we didn't do now what we call a family tree and say their grandfather is like this and then that. That we didn't do that. But what we simply have done, we've picked that. But what I'm saying, these other people are not a J family. I'm sure they are split into various households. Then the issue of NN7, we'll recall that we were not going to the NN7 for the first time, even this year. We went to NN7, I think it was 2016, and then now again we went back, not only yesterday, So yesterday it was just a follow-up of what we're doing. You'll recall, at that time we did indicate that when our inspectorate officials were there was nobody at HR department to be able to give us certain information in order to verify. So again, after that date, we were proceeding with the verification of the information. They had to go back yesterday. So what happened now yesterday, whilst we were waiting for some information not yet clarified, people had to leave, said, no, you cannot leave, but we're not arresting. We said, no, remain until we get what we're able to look at it. Once we have done that, we release them. So they were not arrested, but it was a question of saying we are still wanting to verify this so that we can be sure that when we release you, we've got some information. So by Thursday, again, the team will meet with the members of NN7 and our team to close that process. Kolani, the issue of now, as I'm saying that, Minister, as I'm saying now, I'm here, I was there in Cape Town, I came back on this side, the Minister now is in Cape Town. In the sick note management, there are rules there. For instance, it said if I'm sick for 1 day, I don't even need to bring a sick note. I can just report, but after this day, that's what you need. So I did not get that the minister is sick because I didn't deal with him 2 days in Cape Town. I am here. But what I know is that today Home Affairs has to respond to questions in Parliament. So I thought that is there. But if he's sick, it's something which do happen to people. This question of whether I've been in Guptas, if you can go to in the meeting of the 27th of June, that question was asked. But the way that question was asked was, which now we're asking better than then, it just simply says, as a department, if we ever meet with the Guptas or staff, again I said there, that question can only be answered personally. Because in the night, I don't know what other staff members are doing. During the day, I'm sitting in one building, I don't know where they go. Even if we're in one building, if a person gets out of the car, he might say to me, I'm going there, but he's going somewhere else. So my response on the 27th of June said, personally, I have never met with the Guptas. That answer still remains. I have never met with the Guptas. Then, let's come now to this question of Nomusa so that we can explain how people come to South Africa. When you come to South Africa, you come through an immigration act. An immigration act is what, as the countries of the world, we have agreed that nationals of countries will move between countries. So how to manage that? Then it is true, this issue of immigration. So now countries have got their immigration act. So ours says, you first come as a temporal residence permit holder, which is not for a long time. It moves from 30 days over from 1 day to 5 years. If I'm coming here as a tourist, I can choose to come for 10 days, I get my tourist visa and I go back. I can come here as a student, I study for 3 years and then I go back, or I study for 4 years, or I study for 5 years, I go back. Or I want to operate a business, my business is 3 years and all that. So when people come here first, they come here now on this temporal residence permit, which allows you to be in the country for 5 years. It can be extended and all that. Then after that, you are in love with this country and you say, no, a temporal residence permit it's got things which I cannot do in the country Like now, if you want to open a bank account, you must take this permit. If you want to do, but we are not, there's nothing which links you with this country. And then you've got a right to apply what we called a permanent residence. Then a permanent resident, you apply it once you have 5 years in your temporal residence permit. Then that permanent residence permit allows you for again another period of 5 years. What you get now once you are a permanent residence permit is that 5 years, but you are still under the Immigration Act. So you are nowhere near a national population register because there's nothing which links you as a South African. I mean, on the permanent residence permit, no, temporary residence permit. But once now we give you the permanent residence permit because you've got an ID, it starts says to us now, no, let's keep you on our population register. Then that's where now you start getting to be in the population national register. Then again, after the 5 years we have been in the country, you can again says, no, I think now, because as a PRP, I don't have a right to vote, I don't have a right to have a passport. Therefore, now I want to be there naturalized. And then you get into that naturalization. So that means now, the list which I've shared with you is only for those Gupta family members who are having a permanent residence permit, and those who have been naturalized. But other Gupta family who are having a work permit, have got a tourist visa, have got a study visa, have got a relatives visa, all of those visas, they are not in the list because they are in the immigration site.
Thank you. I'm certain we covered all the questions they said. Before we round up, Cape Town.
Yeah, thank you, David. Just one hand there.
Hi, good afternoon, Marianne Merton, Daily Mag. Really just a very, very short, quick clarification. Did you, when you say that you've approached forensic writing experts with that letter that you say is fake because it's got the wrong date in the last paragraph, would you please tell us the following? On what date did you approach these forensic writing experts? When, in other words, did you approach them? And who are these forensic writing experts? Did you approach police crime intelligence? Did you approach a private sector company? And when you say once we get that report, have you got any indication at this stage when you would get that report? Thank you.
Thanks. Michael, you covered?
Thanks, but you covered.
Thanks. I'm sure we're taking the final round. My brother, you do the first, second question. I saw a hand on the right.
That light may not do some people.
Did you?
I don't continue.
All right. Thanks, DG. Polly again, ENCA. I'm going to have to just press you for detail, DG, on this one. What's the nature of your visit to the ANN7 studios? What is it that is of particular importance or concern regarding the individuals who were there? Thanks.
Thanks. Next question.
Thanks, DG. It's Moses again. DG, would you agree with me that this Gupta case is a clear indication that home affairs processes in our country can be abused by those that have access to politicians and who have lots of money? Thank you.
Thanks. Over to you.
Again, Sipo Simon from SABC. My question is similar to that of my colleague, but just, again, this entire Gupta affair has been a messy one. And just, would you agree that perhaps Home Affairs as a whole is now taking a dent in the manner that handles this information and the confusion that has resulted in all of this, and that perhaps it's not acceptable for the minister not to be here to clarify his role in all of this, DG. And I know that now he's apparently sick, but it's just, is it enough for the public to believe in what you're saying right now? You and the minister were very confident yesterday saying Atul is not a citizen. Different information is coming today, and it's just that we don't know what to believe from now.
Yeah, thank you, Seko. DG, over to you. Sounds like more of the same questions phrased differently.
Okay. No, thanks. I think let me start with the last one. As I've indicated, that the issues we're dealing with it in Parliament was the issue of AJ. And the AJ has been in the media, said AJ is a citizen of this country. And we said he was not. And the IEC, in fact, yesterday, there was even something says AJ is in the IEC voters roll. But the IEC today have said AJ is not in the voters roll. So you do not believe that. Because it's a fact. So what we have said is a fact. In June 2017, I've said Ajay Gupta is not a citizen. Today, I still said AJ is not a citizen. Where did we change the statement? Around the 5 people which we dealt with it. So we never changed that. So we believe that the information which we said about Ajay Gupta is still what we said on the 27th of June. Secondly, what we said in the meeting of 27th of June, we said the 4 members were naturalized. It is still like that. That's what we said. It's still authentic as like that. So we believe that what we have said is still the same, except that yesterday there was an issue of Atul which we never dealt with it. That's why we're dealing with it today. So I believe that what we have said is still like that. But the issue of the ministers, we have indicated that if minister now, as I got it here, that the minister now was sick, but the minister had to appear in front of the parliament. As I said, that's what I know. It's supposed to be. Home Affairs today is answering the questions. Then let me go to Colin now and say, no. Let me start with to Maria in Cape Town to say, when did we approach? We have approached, you'll recall that when we're there, we started now to work on a variety of issues which we have. So now we have appointed an expert which is external, but for us we've used the state attorney. You know that as government, we have to go through the state attorney, and then the state attorney must be the one who will recommend, and then now based on that we'll get. So the latest report I have was that they might be working that by next week, because they've been working on the matter, we might be able to get the report. And once we get that report, we will go and table it in Parliament, because that issue was raised even during the time that we're presenting the report in Cape Town. So you will get that report immediately. We are getting it. Then, Paul, you ask about the nature. Home Affairs, remember that when we issue your permit, there are certain criteria which you had to meet in the permit which you want. Secondly, depending whether you are applying for a student permit or a tourist or whatever. For instance, as a tourist, you'll know that we'll want you to, if you are bringing children here, you must have a birth certificate to be sure that the children you are coming with are your children. So once we are in the country, we've got a right to go and check whether, hey man, these kids who said are yours are still yours, so we check that. With the employment, it is clear that when you come here to work, firstly, we want, in certain categories, we'll have to go to the Department of Labor to ascertain that this particular skill is not in South Africa. That department did advertise, they did not get anyone, and then you submit that information. The other one, which was also an issue where we said, if you are appointing people in South Africa, we want to make sure that 60% of those who are employed are South Africans, and then 40% can be the foreign nationals. So when we go and do these inspections, not only at NN7, we are doing our inspections across. The only challenge which we have is the one of capacity, that I only have about 750. So I'll go to this business, go there. I'm part of the FIELA when we're doing the check. So when we go to check in NN7, it was really to make sure that the permits which the people are holding there, they are according to what they've applied for. And then once we get those things fine, then we'll be happy. If they are not, we'll have to deal with that. Then the issue that it is clear that because of the Gupta saga, that a department can be abused or not systems. That's why daily, we are sitting and improving our systems. You will recall that when we have had a green ID book, why did we move from green ID book to a smart card? Was exactly the abuse which people were doing, getting our IDs fraudulently to foreign nationals. And you'll recall at one point, going to UK, we not have to pay any visa fee. But because of the abuse of the passports which we had, it made us now to have a visa regime from UK. And in all processes, that's why on a daily basis, we look at our risk profile, we look at what can we add, and even the staff members can collude. That's why we're talking about issues of vetting and all that. So systems are vulnerable to that. But what is important is to say, what do you do? At a point in time in Home Affairs, when we're using the paper, people come and say, there's this visa, but I won't know who has issued it. But because of the systems which we have put in place, I'm able now to know that the person who changed this marriage was so and so because of the systems which we have put in place, because now we're on biometrics. We know now that the only thing which can uniquely identify one person to the other is the biometric. So we do that in the processes of issuing these documents. In fact, in the Department of Home Affairs, we've got even a branch which is led by DDG, which is called counter-corruption. So that now we deal with issues of people if they abuse their powers and all that. So at one point we're at high on that, but as we go about, we're able to reduce this. And when now we pick up something that there's something wrong which has been dealt with it, we follow it to the latter.
DG, I'm terribly sorry about this. I really apologize. I've got to sneak this one in. It really is crucial. I note, therefore, DG, that Mr. Ajay Gupta is not a citizen of this country. However, he holds a permanent resident permit.
Yes.
Are you absolutely certain, DG? This is for the record. Are you absolutely certain that how he acquired that permanent resident permit was above board? And perhaps lastly, what could cause that permanent resident permit to be revoked? Can it be revoked, for example, if now he is charged with corruption?
DG, before you respond, we've got still a further question from Nomusa. Is there any other question that we may need to take before we wrap up?
So I just wanted to find out, DG, like exactly how many Gupta family members have South African citizenship? Just to be clear on that one, because your columns only speak about those naturalized and not naturalized and those born in South Africa. So how many have South African citizenship, and exact number, please, DG?
Thanks. Your questions?
DG, you've just mentioned a unit that you have within the department. Have you tested this Gupta case in that unit of counter corruption, and have they given you any findings? If so, thank you.
Okay, thanks. DG, I take it that would be the final question from Priscilla's side. We didn't leave anybody out in Cape Town.
Yes.
No, we are covered. But to the journalists that have questions about the minister's state of health, I'm able to take calls on my phone. So it would be a bit unfair to expect DG to know all of those details. If you need to get those details, you are more than welcome to call.
Thank you, my comment. It's my comment to the spokesperson for the Home Office Minister. Mr. Masipa. Let us give them the
Yes, Colin, as we said, that AJ issue was done. Remember now, we are saying they arrived here in 1994. AJ, and then now based on that we have looked at the file, and then now the file which we have looked at it, there is nothing sinister on that. It just qualified and everything for the PRP. But if there can be an information which we're going to link with the second one to our attention, then there's something wrong that then we'll be dealing with. I think it's also important that when you look at these things, that's why now in our policy for international migration, which we published in our own white paper, one of the fundamental things which we are changing there is this obtaining of the citizenship of South Africa based on the number of years who are here. Because you just graduate from 5 years to another 5 years and you get a citizenship. But is not asking what value are you bringing to the country, so that now we don't look at the number of years. So the proposal which is coming is going to say, no, you can be in South Africa now for 20 years or 25 years. It is not going to be automatically means because of this number of years, therefore you must be. So that we're trying to tighten that. Let's come now on the basis at what point that we can revoke the citizenship. One of the requirements when we do a screening for you to get of these permits, that's why we talked about the risk profile. If you are coming to our country as a tourist, you'll remember another big fight which we had when we said, if you come here as a tourist, and for whatever reason now, you want to work or you need to do something else, go back to your country first and go and apply. Why? It's because if you are coming as a tourist, I don't check your criminal record, I don't check anything because you are here for a short stay. But once you come now to open a business, you come to study, you come to do this, I do those checks. Because as good as South Africans, we don't want South Africans who are involved in criminality. Though you can't revoke my citizenship, but I suffer certain things. If I've got a criminal record, I cannot be a board member of any company. I cannot get a job because of those things. So it is the same with the people who have got those permits. If, Polani, you were here in South Africa, you get arrested, you serve your sentence at corrections. When your release is come up, the first thing we do, we revoke your permit, whatever it is, and we deport you straight from the prison to your country of origin. You will still recall the issue which we still dealt with it of Wanus Walus. who was a citizen of this country. And when there was an issue about him being going to be released, you remember at that time, already as Home Affairs, we were at the point now of revoking that citizenship. And people were against us and say, no, you can't do this so that this guy can leave and go outside. So nobody has broken the law. But now, because that case now is still there, so that citizenship now is still through that process. What I'm saying, if now in this process, there will be findings of wrongdoings by anyone who've got our document, we will revoke that document. But what again we cannot do for our interest if we do not, remember that issue of extradition treaty between two countries. What we cannot do is that you commit crime and then I will revoke your citizenship, you leave. No, serve the sentence first. Once you have served your sentence, we want to say goodbye because it's not what we wanted you to do for us. So that process will be followed. Let's come now to Nomusa's question. Let's go to the list. It's clear about how many people have been naturalized. Maybe the list we said naturalized, but we just give the ID number before and the number after because we didn't want that people pick another ID number and all that said we didn't say. So people have been naturalized in South Africa at 13. So if you count those numbers, you'll find 13 is in that list of, that's why now we don't duplicate. We didn't count both ID number before naturalization and ID number after. We only counted the number after natural, gives you 13. But let's come to the kids so that now we understand that now when we say born in SA, you say, no, but we talked about 13, what about the 10? You remember what our law says. Our law says is that you can be a South African. Not that we are born in South Africa. No. There are two criteria we must meet. If both of your parents are South African, then you are a South African. If one of your parents is a South African, you are a South African. So now when you go to those kids now, it means now these kids were born in South Africa by the parents who were already naturalized. So therefore them, they are carrying a South African citizenship. So it is the 13 which are the parents, it is the kids who are 10 who are also South African citizen. Okay. Then on the issue of the counter-corruption, no, we have not yet referred the matter to the counter-corruption because there is nothing sinister which we have picked up now. But it does not mean it won't go there as we get other things to find out, well, man, there's something wrong here and all that, then it will be sent to our counter-corruption. Yes.
Thank you. I see happiness now all over. Let us thank you very much, Mr. Jimmy, for coming to especially such short notice. And thank you also to Cape Town. Thank you, Jimmy.
Thank you for that.
Thanks. Who said president? Who is president?
There's a presidency.
But who said who?
It's Sello's coming.
All right, well, that was Home Affairs DG Mr. Mkhwesedi Apleni outlining the merits of the Gupta family citizenship here in South Africa, and that was live from Pretoria, where we just heard that their request for exemption as an ordinary family was actually granted, and this in turn gave them naturalization, since in India you cannot have dual citizenship. But this is very different from what our Indian correspondent Neha Punya had said before that, where she said that Atul never gave up his Indian passport, which means that he diminished relinquished his Indian citizenship. He's still an Indian citizen by law. And Apleni said that they found that there are actually 39 unnaturalized, 13 naturalized, and 10 Guptas that were born.
I know, but it's what I talked about. So I wanted to
a quick summary of another language. Just the course and just to put this amendment, just specifically not the entire thing.
Okay.
Just to clarify in the local article that where the